Hello, welcome to Woodland Permaculture. I'm Jenny Wood, and this is part 2 of my second annual update. The first one that I put out last week is just a brief tour and comparison to the 2 years before when I first moved in. This one, I'm going to drill down a little bit more into some of the plants and the other things that are here at Woodland so that you can get a little more detail and enjoy some of the rest of the beauty that I wasn't able to share with you in that video. So let's go, let's see what we've got. All right, starting here in the front, I wanted to share a little bit more with you about the berries that I've got. This whole strip along next to the sidewalk, I wanted to be berries. Berries that could produce and also be shared with the neighbors, with the people around me and with my community. This is one of the three or four raspberries that I've got, and it's getting some flowers and looking really nice. I've got a blackberry down here. Now this is a blackberry that has started from a cutting from my other blackberry down the way, which we will get to, and I'm super excited to see that it's growing. I noticed that the blackberry was sending out shoots, and that those shoots, some of them started to root in the ground. So I just took one of those shoots and put it over here, and it's doing great, and I'm excited about that because whatever I had here before died, and I needed something to fill that spot. So I'm excited about that. I might do that often and give away those or sell those blackberries. Here's another raspberry here, and that is doing really well. It was much smaller earlier this year, so it's getting bigger, and that makes me happy. Down here on the other side, I have this big giant goji berry. I really think I probably should have pruned it in the winter time, but I ran out of time. It's now pretty long and gangly, but hopefully it'll still produce and look pretty. Oh, I see, just now I'm seeing the beginnings of a flower right there. They have beautiful flowers. What I love about the goji berries is the flowers are beautiful purple and the berries are bright red. And so when they have both of them on there at once, it's just lovely. Oh, here's one. Here is a purple flower. Do you see that right there? Look at that. Oh, so pretty. And that'll become a bright red berry. And so it's just beautiful. And then here's the blackberry, the original blackberry that I had. And you can see it's got all these shoots that come out. And so like right here, this shoot, if it's left there on the ground, it'll start to root. So it can make some more blackberries. The cool thing is look at that, it's getting some flowers. And so I should get some good blackberries off of it this year. So that's exciting. So while I'm here, I'll show you the jacaranda tree. So we are well aware of my jacaranda tree. I've done a few videos about it and I love it so much. And a few months ago I had to prune a couple of branches off of it because it was just all hanging to one side and there were no branches on the other side. So to lessen the weight, I took a couple of branches off. Another viewer said that I shouldn't have done that and that it's going to weaken the tree, which I'm really scared about. So I really hope that that doesn't happen. But the good news is it is grown. All of these leaves that you see are all brand new leaves this year. So it is definitely growing. This one branch right here, you can see I'm training it to go that way. And there are a couple of other branches that are new that are growing, including this one right here. This one I hope to get nice and big to help balance it on this side. And then right over here is a new branch right there. I hope you can see that one. It's going the wrong way, but I'm going to train it to come this way. And then here's another tiny little branch. So yay, let's hope that one does. And this branch right here, this one, that's going to grow and I'm going to train it over this way as well. So I'm going to do everything I can to help that jacaranda tree to balance out and to become, you know, a big, beautiful, gorgeous tree. Right now I'm just watering it a lot, and today I gave it some nitrogen and some, phosphorus, potassium, whatever it is, bone meal I gave it. So that is doing that. Now let's go over and see the other berries. So now we are down, this is the where we started, and now we're going the other way. Some beautiful California poppies, and then I've got blueberries. I've got 3 blueberries. I had a couple of blueberries last year, but they died. So I got new ones. And these seem to be doing well, although this one's being encroached on by the California poppy. I've got to fix that. but each one of them has some blueberries on them, and hopefully they will ripen and become yummy. And hopefully I will get to them before the birds do. And then down here, these are 2 currant bushes, and I actually have 4 currants. These are 2. They flowered, but I did not see any berries on them. And as a matter of fact, I see a couple of new little flowers right there on this currant. So you never know, maybe it will get a berry yet. Maybe, we'll see how it goes. This one does not have any flowers. Maybe it needs some nitrogen. And then right over here, I've just planted a few weeks ago. This is a cranberry. I got that as a bare root. There was a sale on a mail order cranberry. I got 3 for 1. And I planted that one here. I don't know if it'll ever produce for me because I hear they need like a lot of chill hours. And that means they need a lot of hours in the winter between, I think, 32 degrees and 45 degrees, somewhere in there. And they need to have that to be able to set fruit the next year. And I don't know if we get enough chill hours in the wintertime, but we'll see. I'll give it a try. This monster right here is oregano. Oh, he's doing great. I love it. They smell wonderful. There's another one right here. I'm putting them in my food. I'll just take that one in right there and put that in my dinners. Oh, and then here's the almond tree. That's it for the berries. Let's move on to the almond tree. I'm excited about the almond tree because it's growing, it's getting bigger, and it flowered this year. It was beautiful, and it's got some almonds on it now. So you can see that? They're just small and fuzzy right now, and they are going to keep growing and maturing until about August or September. And then I read that when they crack open, they're ready to pull. They're ready to harvest. So there's not like a ton of them, but for the first year, I'm really excited that there are any. And hopefully in the coming years, it'll get bigger and produce more. So that is wonderful. Let's go up the pathway. So here are the lamb's ears. We talked about those in the last video. I love them. Over here is another currant bush. And most of this right here, this is all clover. This is a big patch of clover that I planted as a ground cover and nitrogen fixer. And a lot of the greens in the middle of the yard there are all nitrogen fixers. Adding nitrogen to the soil and just making it look lush and beautiful. And almost all of them have produced beautiful flowers. For some reason the clovers didn't flower. I don't know why. I thought that they would have flowers, but the vetch and the peas all made beautiful purple flowers and attracted a lot of bees too. This patch right here is where I'm trying desperately hard to grow corn. And I planted a couple months ago in this first section over here, and there are, a total of 6 or 7 that are growing, which I'm really frustrated about. So then like 2 Saturdays ago, I planted some more, so we'll see if those come up. I also planted some beans, and check this out, I just now noticed this. That looks like a bean. Of course, if it grows any faster, it's going to, outpace the corn. And then these corns over here, this is another section that I planted a few weeks later. I only see a few, just a couple that are starting to grow, which is too bad. Maybe it just doesn't get enough sun here to grow these things. I don't know. But that's my corn patch, and maybe I need to find a new place next year to try my corn. I'll keep trying. Each year I try. Oh, right here, I'm excited. I love these. These are my artichokes. I have 2 artichokes up here. I have one in the back. My friend from NorCal Permaculture, Rachel, who lives in Patterson, she gave me some seeds for artichokes, and they did really well. I had like 3 more up here, but one got choked out by all of the nitrogen fixers, and 2 got eaten by earwigs. And so I've only got 2 left, but there's 1 more in the back. And I planted extra because I knew that would happen. I know my luck with plants. So I've got 2 left, and they're growing pretty well. And they probably won't both stay here. I'll probably transplant one over to Vienna as my daughter's house so that she can have one as well. But that's exciting. These are all nitrogen fixers over here. Let's move down here. This is my lemon tree guild with herbs around it. Now a lot of the herbs stuck around through the winter, like the thyme here, and these are garlics. I planted garlics and they're actually growing this year, and that is a big parsley, although that parsley is bolted. I think I need to prune that back quite a bit so that it can leaf out again. The lemon tree is doing fairly well, but I think ultimately this is not a good spot for it. I don't think it's getting enough sun. It had a few flowers, but those flowers dropped off and didn't start any fruit. So I don't think this is going to be a good place for it. I don't know if I will transplant it. I may just let it, grow where it is and just let it be beautiful and maybe not expect it to have lemons. So we'll see. Maybe when it matures more, maybe it'll do better. Behind that you can see the fennel. Fennel's still growing. It died back some in the winter, but it's coming back again. And then in this area, I decided to try and plant some brassicas. I figured they would do pretty well in the shade. And I originally planted the seeds in fall, and they're only now in the spring are they actually growing at all. And they're doing fairly well, but they are also getting eaten by earwigs. So I've rolled up some newspaper, thanks to my friend Rachel's advice, and I'm catching earwigs and putting them elsewhere so that they can stop eating my brassicas. This is a cabbage and broccoli, and they're supposed to be Brussels sprouts, but they're not growing really well. So, and then here's a couple of native plants, a few native plants that I just planted like yesterday or the day before. This right here is a penstemon. I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. There's another variety of a penstemon there, and then that is a sunflower. You can see the pretty yellow flowers on it. That's a sunflower. So those are native. I love, in this area, I really want to focus on natives and, being able to host native bees and butterflies and other insects and that sort of thing. So let's move over here a little bit. Past the fennel. What's past the fennel? Oh yes, I definitely want to highlight my manzanita. I showed it to you in the other video too, but in case you didn't see that, you have to see my little manzanita. Isn't it so cute? I got this as a native last year, and it is going to be great for the habitat. It's not going to produce any edible fruit for me, but it might for birds and other animals, so that's wonderful. It's still tiny right now. As I said in my other video, when I got it, it was even smaller, and my son-in-law said, that's not a manzanita, that's a boyzanita. So I just had to share that with you again. I love that. And so I'm very excited about that and seeing that grow. And you can tell it's already grown this much in this spring. So that's exciting. And then I've got a couple of tiny chard bushes right here. But you can see they've gotten eaten by earwigs. But it's getting better. The new leaves are not getting eaten as much as the other ones. So I'm still hoping. And this one didn't die. It's starting to come back. So we'll see if that works. And then over here, some more of the natives that I planted. This one is a monkey flower, a red monkey flower, and a lot of clover here. Another parsley. This one is a volunteer parsley, actually. And then a beautiful sage. I don't think this one is native, but I saw it at the nursery and just fell in love with it. So I said, I gotta have that one. So I took that one, but it is edible. It's a sage. And then, of course, a lavender here, and then a lot of other native grasses in this area. So I decided I wanted to try some different native grasses and see how each one does. And so this one is a white-eyed grass, and it just has these tiny little white flowers that come out. And then this one, I can't remember what it's called, but it's got a little flower bud right there. So that's great. This one right here is probably my favorite so far. It's called a blue-eyed grass, and it has those beautiful purple flowers on it. And earlier in the spring, it was just covered with them. That one over there is looking like it's getting a flower. I can't wait to see what that is. I actually pulled that one out of Vienna's yard. It looked different than the other grasses that we were just yanking. And I said, let's give that a try in my yard. So we're gonna see what it does. And then this is another grass that is a native that I got. This right here is yarrow. So that's a native. I need to learn more about it and its medicinal properties, but it's lovely. And then of course I've got the California poppies going. Here's another monkey flower that I just planted, so it's new. I need to water it again. I don't think it's getting enough water. So that is the front yard. Oh, one more thing I wanted to highlight. We got to go over by we have to go this way. Over by the pond. Ah, we love the pond, and we've got the fish in there. It's just wonderful. The plants in the pond, they died back a lot in the winter, but they are all coming back. So it's wonderful. For a long time we didn't know if the lily pads would come back, but thankfully they did. And the elephant ears are growing over there. An interesting thing about the elephant ears is that they send out shoots. You might be able to see one little tiny elephant ear like right in this area, and that's a shoot that came out from the mother. And when you can take those and plant them into pots, and so I did that, and so now I've got these that I'm going to try and sell, obtain a yield. So I'm going to try and sell these and see if I can't share the wealth of this beautiful plant. The rosemary is doing really well. It is growing and it smells great, and I use that in my cooking as well. And then of course there's my banana tree. I talked about that in the last video. It is doing great, growing new leaves all the time, and my hope is that this year it will give me some bananas. If I treat it right, give it some good nitrogen and coffee grounds and other things, hopefully it'll give me bananas later this year. What I'm really excited about are these geraniums. These are scented geraniums and they smell wonderful. I wish you could smell them. The leaves smell kind of like roses, but they are just beautiful, and I planted two more, one over here and one over there on the other side. They're scented and they are supposed to help ward off mosquitoes and other bad insects. But they do attract bees. See, the bees love them, so that's a good thing. But what's great about them is that they are like twice as big, maybe 3 times as big as they were last year. And so they are just really taking over. And you can see how they just crawl all over the rocks and everything. And my husband just loves that. He thinks they're just beautiful. So we're excited about that. I showed you the succulents in the last video, but they are prettier than I ever thought they would be. So I'm excited about that. All right, well, let's check out the backyard, see what we've got there. One more thing before we go to the backyard, I forgot. I got a new elderberry plant. My elderberry last year died, and so I got another one, and I'm trying it in this spot to see if it does better. It gets later afternoon sun and mid-afternoon sun. It might be a little too shady here though, we'll see. But it should get fairly big. This is, I think, a native elderberry, so it could get pretty big. But that would be wonderful. And then I also still have my fig tree. The fig tree does have one little fig on it. Right there. There's the fig. Let me see. Did it get hasn't started any other figs? I don't think it has started any other figs yet, but I expect quite a few of them this year. It's doing pretty well. It's growing. It's nice and green. Looks happy. So that's exciting. And then of course here are the grapes. And like I said, I have 2 grapes on this side and 1 over there, but I want a 4th one. I have to find the right one for the 4th one. And then I want to do an arch right here. But this is another new acquisition. This is an avocado. This is a dwarf little avocado. And I'm going to get a large pot for this one and keep it in a pot because I don't want it to get huge. I want it to stay like 8 to 10 feet high. So I think I hear that will help it if I keep it in a pot. All right, now to the backyard. Here we are coming into the backyard, and I wanted to first start with the little kiwi trees that I got. If you remember, this is a male and that's a female, and hopefully sometime this year they will work together and provide some kiwis. And so but in the meantime, I think they're just beautiful. If you look closely, they have beautiful green leaves with red stems, so they're just lovely. And so even if they don't provide fruit, they're still just lovely. So then let's come on over here. In these pots, I'm struggling with these pots because I had ginger in one and turmeric in the other, and they grew last year, but they didn't make a lot of tubers when they died back, so I just put them back in and hoped for them to grow again, but now they haven't grown. They just won't grow. I don't know why. So now I probably lost all the tubers too. You probably remember the patio. This winter, because of all the rain, there was a lot of green weeds and stuff in here. But I've planted a few new things, and some volunteers over there are looking good. So I'm hoping that is going to keep growing as long as I keep watering it. Okay, let's see what's happening back here. So here is another scented geranium that has just exploded, and I have another one out there too that I've just trimmed a little bit yesterday, so it's not quite as big, but it's pretty big. And then if you remember, this is the sweet alyssum that I brought back here a year or so ago as teeny tiny little things, probably a year and a half ago, and they just exploded as well. They were transplants from the front yard, where in the front yard box. And then over here, let's see what's over here. We've got, of course, the three sisters, and I showed you those in the last video. Each of them have some fruits, some peaches on the Babcock peach, and only one little pluot, Flavor King pluot right there. But I'm hoping for more next year. And then back in here is the Santa Rosa plum, and it's got a lot of plums. It's got quite a number of plums going up there. So I'm sure I probably have to prune some of those out of there to get them out, but that's okay. Then down here, I planted all the potatoes, and oh, there's a nasturtium. I have two good nasturtiums going, and a few others that are starting to grow. And these potatoes are doing really well. Hopefully they'll get bigger and bigger. Back here, along this line right here, I have some carrots growing. Now I planted these a long time ago, but they're only now just coming up and finally starting to grow. I don't know how great they're going to be in terms of carrots, because you know they're root vegetables and this is really hard clay, so we'll see how they get. They might be funky looking. That's okay. And then look, this is the best nasturtium happening right here, and look at that. I'm just noticing now this branch that's coming way out here. Wow, that looks beautiful, those nasturtiums. And then this is the borage, and it's looking great, and it's got lots of bees on it all the time. Here's the grapefruit tree, which is looking really good, and it's growing, and it's got some little grapefruits on it. Oh, and look, if you're looking really close, let me see if I can get close enough. There's a little ladybug right there. Yay! I have been seeing more ladybugs this year than ever, which I'm really excited about because I need them. And then down here are young morning glories that are growing, and I plan to put 2 or 3 more trellises up. One of them is going to go right in here so that these can climb up that trellis. And then here's the lime tree. And this lime tree was over by the fence, but it wasn't getting enough sun because of that tiki wall going around the pool equipment. It was getting shaded out. So I transplanted it over here just, when was that? Last week. So it's only been a week. Thankfully, I did it without disturbing the roots, so it kept all of its leaves, and I see that it's already starting to grow some new leaves. So I'm hoping this is going to be a better spot for it. And then a few more morning glories down there, but they're just small still. So I'll probably have to put another trellis there, but they get a lot more shade there, so they may not grow as rigorously down there. All along here are celeries, and this one's bolting, but the ones behind it aren't as much. So some of them are bolting and some of them aren't, but I don't use celery all that much, so maybe next time I won't plant celery too much. I probably could have done with just one, but they came in a pack of 6, so here we go. Oh, and then of course the sage. Now this is just some regular cooking sage, culinary sage, that's what it is. And this year it is flowered really beautifully, and it's got all those flowers that the bees just love. And so I had 3 of those. They were tiny when I planted them, and now they're just nice and bushy. Down in between these guys, you can just barely see, are a couple of creeping rosemaries. And I really should trim those back so they can get some more sun. But they're doing best they can. Some more sweet alyssum over here. And then here's ceanothus. I got a few up front that I showed in my last video. I happen to love the ceanothuses, and this is a creeping one that isn't going to get too huge and bushy. It'll stay close to the ground, I think, but it's looking really nice. And the ones out front are getting some flowers. I hope this one gets some flowers too. Oh, there's one. There's a couple little flowers down there. Great. Here's the milkweed, and like I said last time, I really hope to have a butterfly caterpillar living on there, a monarch sometime. And the pin cushions, and you can see a little bee right there. There's a little bee enjoying the pin cushions. I love that. Behind that is another yarrow, like the one up front, only this is a white yarrow, whereas that one out front is more of a red one. And then let's see, down here behind all of this, oh, here, I'm excited about this. This is a lupine. I planted several lupine seeds. This is the one that's doing the best, and this was like fall. And it's finally growing, and I'm hoping it will flower at some point. And then along this line right here, I planted beets, and they're just not coming up. I don't know what to do, but there's just a few right there, and that's about it. I don't know if I'm going to get any beets or not, but I'll keep trying. Oh, hopefully you guys like my bird bath. It's a peacock. Have you guys noticed I really love peacocks? I had a peacock over there too, you might have seen. But I really love peacocks, and so I got that. And I need to fill it up with some cleaner water. But back behind that are some morning glories that are growing up the trellis, which is really exciting. And hopefully those will start to bloom soon. And then, oh, I'm excited about this. I'm going to show you this. This is an onion that I planted. I think I planted it from a part of an onion. I don't think it was a seed. I think it was part of an onion. And it's really growing great. It's probably time to harvest it, actually. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this, and then I'm going to get a little setup and let you see me harvest it and see what it does. So hold on, I'll be right back. All right, let's see. Move some of this out of the way here. Right. Wow, look at that. That is a great onion. It's not round, it's like oblong shaped. Isn't that awesome? Ow. Sorry. That is a beautiful harvest. I'm definitely going to use that in my cooking. Whew, yay, I yield. I got a yield. And it's beautiful too. I planted a few more onions back there. I would love to see them all get this big and beautiful, because it really just provided a beautiful, interesting shape and texture in the garden. So yeah, I'm happy about that. Yay! And now there's an empty spot there. That's where the onion was. Wasn't that cool? Okay, moving on now. This is the 3-in-1 cherry that I highlighted in the last video. This one replaced the 4-in-1 cherry that I killed last year, and I was so sad about that. It is doing fairly well and is starting to grow, and I hope that it grows a lot more. I guess it's gotten this much. That's a couple of inches already this year, so that's really good. I don't expect any fruit on it this year. But next year, hopefully. This area right here, I did have planted with these daikon radishes. My friend Rachel gave me those daikon radish seeds, and I planted them in the fall, and they just exploded. Before yesterday, or the day before, this area was completely covered with those. And they even covered the scented geranium and went all the way just fell over and went all the way over to the brick over there. So they were huge, and I cut them back yesterday and made room. Actually, it was 2 days ago, and that made room for this great coffee berry plant. That's another native. I love coffee berry for some reason. I don't even know. I had 2 of them in the beginning and killed those. And so I wanted to replace them. And this time I'm promising to do much better and to take better care of it. So hopefully that will grow and become a nice shrub right here, a perennial. That if I can't just figure out exactly if the berries are edible or not. If you know for sure, let me know. Some say they are, some say they aren't. And but at least they will be edible for birds and for other things. And then I still can't remember what kind of plant this is, but it's getting lovely little flowers on it, and that's pretty. I like that. And then of course there's the strawberries. I got those from Santa Cruz Permaculture. One of the teachers there had a lot of extras of those, so sold us really cheap little sprouts of those, and they are doing really well. Back here is another trellis that's right now empty. But just a few days ago, it was covered in all of these dried pea stems. So it had snow peas growing up. And the snow peas did really well and gave me some snow peas. And I reseeded some of them at the bottom. We'll see if they come up. I don't know if they will because it might be too warm. But for now, it'll just be empty for a while to see if that works. But it was a really good experiment with snow peas. And then over here, this is my passion fruit plant. And I really wish it had a passion flower blooming. It did yesterday, but these flowers, they only last like a day. This is the flower right here that was bloomed yesterday. And if you look down in there, you can see that, yeah, it was a spectacular flower. Those are gorgeous. But that's the 3rd one that it's had. And the others were down here. I can't see where they were, but hopefully they will become fruits because they had several passion fruits last year. And I made it a little trellis last week so it can climb up that trellis. I'm all into trellises now. I have 3 more that I need to make. Oh, we bypassed and didn't highlight the male pistachio tree. He is doing really well. I had to transplant him a few months ago, but he is starting to grow, and that's a good thing. And he will fertilize the female pistachio, which is out there in the corner. This is the female here. She is growing. In fact, she's growing more than the male. And my fear is that she will have flowers at some point, and the male won't have his flowers yet. So we'll see how that works. But she's doing really well. And then behind her are the morning glories again, and they are climbing up the trellis. So that's exciting. I need one more trellis here, I think. And maybe I need the trellis here because that's where most of the morning glories really are, is over there in that corner. So that's exciting. I think I mentioned the Stella cherry in the last video, but I'll show you the cherries on there again. They are starting to grow, and I think they're beginning to turn yellow. They were bright green, and now they're turning yellow, and hopefully they will turn red, and I'll get to eat them. One other thing that I did, I obtained these big giant logs last year, and what I was going to do is I was going to split them for firewood, but I'm incapable of doing that. These are too big, and I don't know how to deal with that. So I decided to stack them up like that and make them into bee houses. So just a couple of days ago, I think you can see those holes. I drilled holes in them of different sizes. And right here on this one as well. This one gets more shade because it's tilted down. So I'm going to see if this year bees use that as their little houses to lay eggs. I made this bee house, almost 2 years ago. I made this way in the beginning, and no bees have ever moved into it. So I did something wrong with that. Either the holes are too big, or they're not long enough, or something. So I'm trying again. And then of course here is the beautiful apple tree. We'll go around. I showed you this before too, but it is getting apples all over it. So it's getting lots of apples, and it's also growing. It's getting new branches and stuff. I pruned it back in the winter time. And let me back up so you can see it better. and it's doing really well. It's got some tall ones. I really should have pruned those tall ones earlier in the winter, but I might have to do that in the summer. But it looks like they have flowers on them, or at least had flowers, so if they get apples, I probably won't prune them until later. But they definitely are getting apples all over. I'll probably have to prune some of those. But then, I have to show you this. The graft that I did. This is the graft, a pink lady graft that I did. Can you see that? That's where the graft was. It has not only taken and grown, but it has a little apple too. Did I just break something? Ugh, I just broke that whole thing off. Oh, I'm so bad. And it's got a couple of little apples right there. So I am super excited about that. And very sorry that I just broke that off. So that is awesome. I do have to do a grafting update soon because I did more grafts this year. Down here are the extras of some of those recent plants that I bought. A couple of elderberries and a couple of cranberries. I'm going to give the 2 cranberries and the big elderberry to Vienna, and I don't know what I'm going to do yet with the other elderberry. We shall see. And then I think finally, one of the last things I'm going to share with you is this pear tree. So here's the pear tree, and it's a 3-in-1 pear tree, but unfortunately this one graft right here hasn't had any leaves yet this year. The others don't have a ton of leaves, but that one doesn't have any, and so I'm concerned that it's not going to get any. So this may end up being only a 2-in-1 pear tree, but if my grafting skills get better, maybe I can graft another pear on there at some point. So that's good. And then here's my workspace. You saw that last time. I won't go through all of that with you again. I've got some seedlings in the greenhouse down there that are kind of growing. And then of course the water catchment system. I've got 4 50-gallon barrels that are full of water now because we had rain in April. Isn't that exciting? We got rain in April. That is so wonderful. So I think that's it. I don't think I have any other plants or any other items that I want to highlight to you right now. But I am so very grateful that you joined me again in getting to drill down into some of the plants that I have and some of the other elements that are in the garden. I'm so grateful that you were with me. You guys have a wonderful day and God bless.